Joining me now for more on this, Michael Kroger, former Victorian Liberal Party President, and Stephen Conroy, former Labor Cabinet Minister. Gents, thanks both for your time. Good to see they have the same thing happen over there with protesters, though in Australian politics they normally get to the stage. Michael, I thought they were going to throw in maybe the red rag here for Michael Bloomberg and just try to get him out of the fight here. He didn't seem ready for these attacks, which is bizarre.
No, and I must say, watching that, I would have preferred, I think all the viewers of Sky would prefer another 10 minutes of that than Stephen and I, but putting that aside, he looked very ill-prepared. This was a clear example, Tom, and I'd be surprised if Stephen didn't agree. This is a clear example where in the pre-debate vetting, he should have had a really hard, experienced media person saying, this is the question you're going to get. These are the issues you're going to have to deal with. The NDAs you're going to have to deal with. You should come out on the front foot by saying how many, what they were about, which ones were against you. OK, someone said I told a bad blue joke or whatever, which would be bad for a day's publicity, but compared to the publicity that Donald Trump's had over his misdemeanours in this field, they would be nothing. But he looked incredibly defensive. He doesn't look battle-hardened. Clearly in his first debate he looked like a horse that hadn't run for 3 years. The others all battle-hardened and they monstered him. And his ratings will undoubtedly drop because of this. He just seemed ill-prepared, lost. And, Tom, I don't think he's been in a debate as vicious as this ever in his political life. And it showed.
It was a real attack on the one person, 11 years since you'd had a debate. But, Stephen Conroy, you know how this stuff works. When you're preparing for a debate, they have mock debates. You get someone that knows all his weak points, they hammer him, and he practices his comeback. So why wasn't that happening?
No, look, I mean, Michael's dead right. This was not a good night for Bloomberg. He looked flat-footed. He looked underprepared. He did, as Michael said, look like he hadn't had a hard contest in quite a few years. However, having said that, the weight of his advertising washes over. Not that many people will have watched the debate, and this will have washed over a fair bit. It's a bit like the Trump versus Hillary debates. You know, Trump didn't win any of them, and his behaviour on stage was ludicrous and insane, but not that many people knew or cared, and the advertising blitzes overcame that. So Bloomberg is certainly not out for the count, but I'd have to say, after reading and watching a bit of it myself, I thought the guy who continues to just come up through the middle with the most impressive performance is Pete Buttigieg. He is continuing to perform under pressure, and some of his lines were very, very good.
So is he the best hope, though? Because this seemed like a practice game of Get Trump when they were talking about the billionaire and refusing to disclose information and so on. Elizabeth Warren seemed to be the best on that attack. Did you think cheap emerged as a possibility, or you think it needs to be more a centrist, Stephen Conroy?
Look, I think the Democrats are torn between trying to support a candidate that can pull centrist voters in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, crucial states, possibly Florida, crucial states, as opposed to someone who might maximise the vote in New York and California, states they've already won. And this is the same dilemma that the Australian Labor Party and the Liberal Party with Michael have often faced. You pick an ideologue, or you pick someone who can maximise your vote. And that is a real torture. And they don't get to spread them round and try and find one to lead a team. They're just picking one. So the real challenge there is, can they find a candidate that they can all unite behind? And after watching that, you struggle to see how they're going to pull behind one candidate.
Tom, I think the point...
Yeah, go, Michael.
Well, I was just going to say about Elizabeth Warren. She got big headlines today by attacking the mayor, former mayor, but I don't think she can win the nomination. And I said that last week. The left's candidate is clearly Bernie Sanders, and he's an angry man. He should be given, credit for being so angry for so long.
As opposed to Donald Trump.
Yeah,
very pacifist at heart.
Well, you never see a softer side to Bernie. But anyway, he is clearly the flag bearer for the hard left, not Warren. And he's in the 20s, she's in low teens, high single digits. So I can't see her getting over him, and so the left's candidate will be him. So who have you got in the centre? You've got Buttigieg, Klobuchar, and the former Vice Bloomberg and Joe Biden. Now, Biden extraordinarily has had a sleepy campaign. He looks half-hearted. He doesn't look all that interested. He's slow-moving, as opposed to Warren, whose advisors have obviously told her to keep waving and look alive at every function. You know, she's got that very physically energetic appearance at every convention. But unless they pick a centrist candidate, which may be at a brokered convention, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think Sanders can beat Donald Trump.
When we look at this debate, though, and how sort of down and dirty it got, I suppose, is it worth looking back in history? Hillary and, of course, Obama were very toe-to-toe deeper on in the debate. And I was reminded by a Twitter user today, Stephen Conroy, at this stage of the Donald Trump campaign to try to get the Republican nomination, yes, they were debating the size of his appendage. So, you know, even though things look ridiculous, they can get back on track.
Yeah, no, as I said, the weight of advertising, the weight of money in American politics, which is why I've never been a fan of primaries, because you buy the presidency, you buy Senate positions. The weight of money can have an overwhelming impact. I mean, you just got to look at Clive Palmer's $80 million in the last federal election. And that's not taken away from Scott Morrison's performance, but $80 million was about as much as both parties spend individually. And so money talks, unfortunately, in politics, even in our political system. And it certainly talked for Donald Trump, and it's talking at the moment for Bloomberg.
And Tom, 90% of this
money,
debate,
I suppose. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, 90% of this debate, Steve's right. 90% of this stuff is lost. I mean, you think some of the terrible things that Trump said along the way, and he still got elected president. What he said about John McCain, I'm sure that was during or just after the debates when he said, "I prefer a war hero that wasn't captured." I mean, Trump said some shocking things. So unless there's a killer line that one Democratic candidate says against another, that'll largely be forgotten, and whoever is the candidate will be the candidate, and you basically start again.
Yeah, or maybe even if there's a killer line, given what Donald Trump got away with. I want to ask you this, Michael Kroger.
Correct.
Who'd be a good result for Australia from the Democratic side in terms of someone that's got a good foreign policy? I think it's important more than anything else around their foreign policy and what they think of Australia and Asia and the importance there, but I suppose someone to work with as well. I'm tipping you're not going to say Bernie Sanders, so who are you quietly plumping for?
Well, clearly it would be in Australia's interest for the Democratic candidate to be Joe Biden. Certainly not Sanders, certainly not Warren. Buttigieg, you just don't know. I mean, you really, no offence to the poor fellow, but he's never had any foreign policy experience at all. So you wouldn't want him. Klobuchar would be probably second, and then Bloomberg third. But clearly Biden, Australian, have worked with for 8 years as Vice President under Obama, and in terms of the national interest, he would much be the preferred Democratic candidate from Australia's point of view.
We've got 5 seconds, Stephen Conroy, so I'll just need a name for yours.
Yeah, no, look, I think Michael just listed it in order. I've been lucky enough to have lunch and spend a few hours with Vice President Biden, absolutely solid citizen, loves, respects Australia.
Stephen Conroy, Michael Kroger, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Cheers.